Well, at the Players Association, we concentrate a lot on the community. So we make sure that if the players are around in the communities that they grew up in, where they went to college or where they play, that they're able to be visible, able to have an impact. I'd love to see the tennis players do the same, but I know that our NFL players, they're very passionate about showing up and just really helping everyone. I think at the inception of the NFLPA back in 1956, we were focused on the basics: fair wages, socks, jocks, uniforms, time off, quality of life. Those haven't changed as much. The standard and the baselines have changed. So I would encourage the tennis players to just really lean into the power of the collective voice, talk to each other, talk to the PTPA, figure out what's important to everybody, not just this group over here, that group over there, but the power in the union comes from the collective. I think one of the big things we've done as a union is really lean into the one team concept. It is a team sport, but it is hard to get players from different teams or rival teams to talk to each other. So what we did was we tried to set an infrastructure for that. We tried to set a concept for that. So the one team concept is that everybody's on the same team when it comes to getting fair wages, hours, and working conditions, and making sure that we leverage our collective power, not just the stars, not just Mr. Irrelevant, but everybody come together and leverage that voice. So we have meetings throughout the year. We have position talks and calls, make sure that everybody is plugged into the union and engaged about not just the issues, but also the programming, the solidarity, why we exist, the history. All of those concepts and facts and data, they're just important. So we make sure that we really maximize our own touch points and so that the players know each other too. Well, we have a few key priorities. We want to make sure that players are free to make choices of their own volition. So things like the franchise tag come up pretty often. Free agency is always a question. Players want to feel like they're earning their minimum salary, so they don't want necessarily to for the rookies to walk in a little bit unproven versus the veterans. So we want to make sure that we have fairness even within our own ranks. And then we just want to make sure that our CBA is balanced. We don't like to have a situation where the commissioner is the judge and the jury. So we certainly prefer arbitration, or at least, a mutual choice on that arbitrator. We're really methodical and thoughtful about our staffing and our touch points. So we have a group of staff members that go out and talk to the teams, and it's their whole role to engage those particular players on each team to find out what they're interested in, where they have things in common. Because we're pretty sure that, more binds us than separates us, but it's up to us to kind of draw out those affinities. So that's part of, just exactly what they do. Yeah. And I think that could be something that works for tennis as well, or even has probably worked in basketball or in baseball. But once you find out what are the common interests, what binds you, what are the common issues, things like locker rooms, they affect every single player. No player has sort of his VIP area. So, you start to talk about those things, and then they realize, oh, okay, well, I didn't know this, or, I have that issue too. So that's something that we work hard to come up with, just to make sure that they know everything that's on the table and how they can change it. Well, I think we have two types of surveys, and I believe in the power of surveys, and really more so the power of data. So on one hand, we do survey the players to see what their interests and hobbies are, and that way you are able to build communities around those affinities. Like I said, sometimes you just got to find that bonding point. Oh, you like to fish? I like to fish. Oh, you like to golf? I like to golf. So those can be really good touch points and ways to engage the players with us and each other. But another thing that we started doing last year is we surveyed the players on the conditions under which they work. And that told us that just provided a wealth of information The players eventually graded the teams on the condition of their locker rooms, on their travel, on their coaches, how important they felt the training rooms were. All of that added up to, them being able to discuss things that are important and some things that just might have slipped away if we hadn't, sort of brought them to their attention as things that should be priority and things that we can change. They saw with that survey that there's power in fighting with their union to change some of these things, no matter how big or small or how fair or unfair you think they may be. So. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's actually apropos because this year we actually took a passport tour. So this season coming up, the 23 season, there are 5 international games. There are 3 in London and 2 in Germany. So we took a group of players, really just about 1 from each team that's going to be playing over there, give or take. We took them over to Frankfurt and to London. We immersed them in those markets. We met up with some partners there, gave both some familiarity with both the players and the area. And we were able to kind of tap into that fan base. And that's something we look to do and to monetize, basically. And that's our way of, going global.
Yeah.
The NFL has different plans on growing the game internationally, but we want to be right there with them to make sure that the players benefit. Well, keeping the players' interest top of mind is very easy. That is literally what we were legally founded to do. That's our whole fiduciary duty, all of that. So that's the easy part. Everybody that works at the PA knows what the mission is. But in the sports betting conversation, in keeping the players top of mind, one thing we always have to make sure of is that they own their data, they own their name, image, and likeness, and that they are compensated fairly for whatever that might go for in the market. So that is the crux of the conversation with the NFL, back and forth. Some of it finds itself in the form of licensing, some of it finds itself in the form of certain conduct and prohibitions, but we're not going to let them just take and run over us in this area just because they want to. It's an area that we feel strongly about, we know our members do, and we'll just continue to fight until we get, kind of a fair chunk of what's going on there.